Hey y'all, welcome back to Sip Something Sunday. Let's pull up, pour up, and talk about it. Today's episode is kind of layered. We're going to talk about peace over ego, grief that builds you instead of breaking you, the end of Black History Month and how we can keep it going, the emails versus the files, narrative versus fact, the BAFTAs, internet chaos, and the new BBL uniform. I'm also going to give you a look into what March is going to look like for us at Sip Something Sunday. All right, let's get into it. Before anything else, before we get started, I have to wish my baby mama, my bonus son's mom, a very happy birthday. She's the mom, I am the bonus mom, and I am extremely grateful that I have been allowed to be a part of his life, even after divorce. We have been friends. We chose friendship, and it really kind of happened organically. Like there was no conversation like you see on the reality shows or on TV. We just one day we're just cool with each other. And I'm so glad that we chose maturity and loving our children together. And we did that before it was trendy, before it was a hashtag. And now I would say she is one of my dearest friends. And so, Tasha, I do want to say happy birthday to you. I love you. And I choose you every single day. Peace over ego always. To that, I'm going to have to raise my glass, say cheers, and take a sip. Today, I am sipping on sparkling rosé. As y'all know, I enjoy my champagne sundae, so unless it's something really heavy, it's probably always going to be some form of a bubbly. All right, let's get into it. Grief. I think in general, everybody thinks grief is always sad, that it manifests in crying in a dark room, laying in bed all day. But that's not always the case. I have a very dear friend, actually a few dear friends that have lost their mothers in 2025. Off the top of my head, I can think of 3 people. And then my cousin lost his wife, which in turn, his children lost their mother. And a friend of mine who lost her mother made a post the other day about just her journey. And it made me think about my journey. In a lot of ways, grief for me was, it made me more intentional. It made me strip down and take a look at the things that actually matter. A lot of times we get so caught up in being mad at people, being mad at situations. We hold on to expectations. We hold on to hurt. And I think the one thing that grief has taught me is that life is just too short. And it's so cliche. And I know people say it all of the time, but it really is entirely too short for us to worry about shit, for lack of a better word, that just does not matter. For me, it built me. I've moved twice since the loss of Peyton. The first time it was just really, I needed to get away. Like I needed to get out of Myrtle Beach. So I went to Park City, Utah for work, and I ended up staying there 1.5 years. And then they're like, you want to go somewhere else? And I was like, yes. And truthfully, I think if they asked me to go somewhere else, I'd go somewhere else again. For me, it also sharpened my discernment. Because I can say that before that, I doubted myself. If I had a bad feeling, I'd think, because I've always carried the tag of being mean. Not a mean girl, but mean. I don't put up with a whole lot of BS, I guess is a word I could say. And so whenever I met people and I wasn't very fond of them at first glance. At times I've been made to feel like I needed to give them a chance. And a lot of times I was right. And so I think that grief has taught me to listen to my instincts a whole lot more. It also brought out the creative side of me. It makes me, I will say it makes me not want to stay in one place. I do feel like I have to venture more out into the world. But I just want to say to those who are grieving, let it use you. Because as cliche as it may sound, the person you are grieving does not want you to wallow in that grief. And I'll be the first to say there are days when you have to. There are days where you just have to sit there, soak it up, and sit in it. But on the days when you are not sitting in it, turn that grief into a purpose, turn it into a passion, and honor those that you love. Because if you allow it to, grief will not destroy you. It will completely reconstruct you. That was a little heavy. My apologies. Moving on. Today is March 1st, which means Black History Month is over. But just because Black History Month is over does not mean that the education stops. If your awareness clock runs out on February 28th, it wasn't education, it was performance. Black history is not seasonal. It is all year long. Education is not a campaign, it's a commitment. We can't be informed in February and indifferent in March. The narrative never shifts. The fact has to remain. At the end of the day, Black history is American history. So I say this to say I've enjoyed all the posts. Let's keep it going. Okay? Cool beans. As everyone knows, we went to war yesterday with Iran. And it's not surprising because the news came out that there were 50 pages that were removed, redacted, whatever word we want to use, whatever buzzword we want to use. But there were 50 pages redacted that literally basically accused the man of an assault on a 13-year-old. And so we knew that once that happened, he was going to do something to take the attention off of that. And, you know, last night while my TVs, I'm trying to live my life and my TVs are just talking about what's happening in Iran, and Ayatollah Khomeini is dead. And I guess that is a good thing because, I mean, he's been a terror for all of my life, as long as I can remember. But I have to ask myself, and I have to ask everyone, what if we were as worried about the Epstein files as we were about Hillary Clinton's emails? Do y'all remember that? It was the talking point of the 2016 presidential election. Her emails. There were people who literally had no clue what it even meant, but that was their reason why they didn't want to vote for her, because of her emails. And I'm like, what about her emails? And their response was, well, you know. And I'm like, yeah, like I do, but what do you know? And I just think it's so crazy that same lady, you know, we talked about her emails, and basically, if you don't know, if you were hiding under a rock, it was discovered that she used a private email server for her Secretary of State email address. And while it was true that there was no confidential information found on that server, it still was a talking point for the 2016 election, thereby giving us the first election of the orange guy. So anyway, again, that was a narrative. It wasn't fact, right? But the fact is, this man's name has been in these files, I believe the 30,000+ times, right? That doesn't include the 50 pages that were redacted. And all we know now is about the 50 pages. We don't know the rest of it. And I just want to know, like, why don't we care as much? Why do we continue wanting to ask for quote unquote proof that what's being said? Like, I get it. I 100% get it, because we all know that there are things that are in the files that are not necessarily fact. But I just find it crazy. Like, Whoopi has been made to explain why her name was there. You know, again, we've had discussion about Jay-Z and Pusha T. Russell Wilson has had to explain why his name was there. When is old boy going to explain why his name was there? Because remember, one point he claimed he had no clue. Another point he claimed he always knew. But the one thing we both know, we've all seen, is that his name has come up too many times for us to be comfortable with the fact that the President of the United States, who claims to enjoy grabbing coochies, also apparently had a thing for children. And I'm not sure if this is against some type of United States policy for me to have this conversation, but I just want to know why we don't care as much about these files as we do about that woman's emails. When we already knew that it was proved that she did. I mean, was it stupid? Yes. But was it wrong? No, it wasn't. So I just don't understand how the same people who cared about the emails being on the wrong server don't have the same care about the information that is in these files. How you sit up there and you think that the Orangeman and Steve Bannon and all these people that were hanging around with this lowlife who did disgusting and abhorrent thing to children, how we are not owed a further look. Because this is the party that elected him, is the party that stands on Christian faith. Why isn't your Christian faith asking you to ask this man questions about what he did? So I ask you, if you were worried about the emails, take a look in the mirror and ask yourself why the hell you weren't worried about what's in those damn files. And then get back to me. Moving on. The BAFTAs. The BAFTAs. In case you don't know, BAFTA stands for British Academy of Film and Television Art. I'm sure you've heard there was an incident where Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo are on stage, and a person who has Tourette syndrome shouted the N-word. Now, let's be very clear. Tourette's is real. It's a neurological condition that cannot be helped. The vocal tics are real. Listen, I have a friend, she's a comedian, and she will be on the show. No, she does not have Tourette's. But I was at one of her shows, and there was a lady at the show with Tourette's. And she, like, literally through every set, her tics were happening. Through her own set, the tics were happening. So I fully understand that Tourette's is real. But what is weird to me is that the BAFTAs allowed that to air as opposed to editing it out as they did with another part of the show. While his intent may not have been malicious, his impact was extremely real. And here's the part that matters. Again, it aired. They edited out the profanity, but they let the N-word stand. We all know award shows get edited all the time. They edit for time, they edit for optics. So the decision to let that moment air kind of reminds me of the Will and Chris moment, but that's a whole nother episode of a whole nother podcast. I get it was a tick. I get it may not have been intentional, but it did cause harm. Something that people never understand. And it's probably because it doesn't happen to them. But people have to realize intention does not waive you of responsibility. Someone can have a condition and the words that they use can still cause harm. I feel as Black people, we're always asked to understand when we are wrong. We are always asked to understand someone's intent. I wish that people would understand that whether or not it was intended, the hurt and the harm still matters. Just because it wasn't your intent does not mean that the impact is erased. And institutions are responsible for what they choose to amplify. And in that moment, they amplified his use of that word, tick or no tick. And it goes back to what's the narrative? The narrative is we're supposed to understand, when the facts are we understand, but we also understand that in his explanation of what happened and their explanation of what happened, there still could have been an apology. Amplification is power. Apologies are power. And when you refuse to apologize based on intent, that's also powerful. Now, if you saw the NAACP Image Awards, Mr. Jordan said he loves being Black, and as do I. And we are so glad to have him. And I'm so glad that he always handles everything with class and grace. Same for Mr. Delroy Lindo. But that still doesn't excuse what happened to them at the BAFTAs. But they take the high road, so I will too. Let me sip on that. All right, y'all. Now we got to get down to the mess, honey. They down there in Atlanta cutting up. Listen, I'm sick of 50 Cent. I'm sick to death of his ass. I know that everybody and their mama thinks that all his trolling is funny. He gave us some great shows. We thank him for the Power Universe. We thank him for the BMF Universe. But I'm sick of his shit. And somebody the other day, was like, y'all mad at 50, but back in the 90s, Tupac said, listen, we grow. You when you know better, you do better. Listen, that first line of hit 'em up, that's why I FJB, you fat MF. Listen, that will live on in infamy. I will listen to that one line 1,000 times. But if y'all can remember that one line, look what it gave us. We no longer have Biggie or Pac, right? So let's not pretend that line was okay then. It wasn't. And 50 deciding he's going to post Tiny? Why? Why is that okay? That girl don't bother nobody. Like, there's a lot of things you can say about Tiny, but messy and problematic is not one of them. Then she posts a picture, Mama Tina shares it, and basically gives Tiny some love. Then here come this troll again, posting an unflattering picture of Mrs. Tina Knowles. Why? Why, Curtis Jackson? Why do you think that's okay? Now, if Solange roll up on you in an elevator and drop kick you, you're going to be feeling stupid. Then he posted a picture of Solange because I think somebody might have reminded him, Solange would go ham. The best thing that I do love about the Knowles Carter's clan is they're not going to they're not going to allow you to make them stoop to your level. 50 has talked about those people's children, now the mama. He's trash. I'm sorry. But the Harris family said, we got time. We got time. And Lil King and his big teeth ain't stopped. And then you got Buddy Red. He done made. How you get dissed by a dude he got a whole scarf around his neck and a guitar. And then Damani's song, where he basically asked 50 if 50's mom, I'm sorry, let me get it right. He asked, God rest her soul, if she's proud of what her son has become. And I will say this until somebody listens. 50 hates women. I feel like he is in the closet. I'm not going to argue with you and nobody else about it. The way he attacks women is trifling. He will never attack men the way he attacks women. Only man he attacked was, what's that boy? Lil Meech and them. But I mean, come on. At one point, as we black folks are going to look at him and say, you know what? You don't get to do that. Thank you for giving us good TV, but you're gonna keep your mouth off of these people, cause Tiny don't bother nobody. And to be honest, T.I., he had his little hoe face, but he don't really bother nobody either. But he said, you ain't finna talk trash about my wife, and I don't blame him. And all them kids say they was ready. Listen. He done got jumped by the whole family, and that's good for his ass. Maybe he will learn to mind the business that pays him. And I guess mess does pay him, but stick to the written scripts. Because I think a big old 50-year-old man still walking around here acting like a 12-year-old boy is despicable. And the Harris clan showed you just how much. But I tell you what, this was a masterclass in monetized chaos, because they all was coming for him. I don't know how we can just keep on pretending like 50s behavior is okay. Yeah, he's a troll. Ha ha, it's funny, but it's not. And the Harris clan showed him just how funny it wasn't. So I'm big up to them. Big up to them all. Love them all. So people are kind of upset with Lela Rochon. Moving on, as you can tell, I had to take a little sip. Because she talked about how in the 90s they had to use whatever they had to make it work. And, now everybody's with the wigs and the lashes and the BBLs, and everybody kind of looks the same. And people took offense to her pointing out the wigs and the lashes and the BBLs. I don't think her issue is the fact that people have the wigs and the lashes and the weaves, because even back in the day they had the weaves. I think her issue is the fact that everybody kind of looks the same. Like, on Love and Hip Hop, they kind of joke about the typeface crew. That's an issue. I, for one, I love braids, I love weaves, I love wigs, I love it all. It's also, listen, when you have braids or even a wig, a good wig, listen, it reduces your morning routine by a good 30 minutes, which for a lady trying to get to work who loves to sleep is everything. 30 minutes, listen. That's the difference between a cat nap and a good night's sleep for me. So you can do whatever you want to do with your hair. Listen, them lashes. Sometimes I think we go too far. There's no reason why you should look like you have spiders on your face waving to the masses. Like, a good natural lash is great. I mean, my god sister in Lake Charles, Louisiana, Bella Luna, she does amazing lashes. She really does. I've never seen anybody leave her salon looking like they got spiders on their face. Some of y'all don't go there, and I understand she's in Lake Charles, but maybe you should find her information. But walking around with and then the mouths look like they hurt. Like, I don't get it. Like the BBLs, I get it. Like, maybe God didn't give you a nice butt, so you go buy one. You are free to do that. But I just wish that we went back to looking like original copies of ourselves instead of the carbon copy Instagram / Black Kardashian / I don't know. Because it's really not a good look. And then you have to ask yourself, what does it teach those coming up behind us? Because these little girls these days, they be wearing wigs. They be 11 years old and they have wigs. That don't make sense. Like, you pull up to a school, you look at these prom pictures, these homecoming pictures, and listen, I get it. I will tell 90% of the women you see with wigs and weaves, there's a whole healthy head of hair under it, but because you don't want to heat your hair every day because it kills it. Like, I understand why we wear protective styles. That's not the point. The point is we are all starting to look the same. The extra baby hair, the big old spider lashes, the extra large butts that don't match our legs. if you got the money, you can magnify yourself in any way that you want to, but I wish we looked like individuals and not like we're all some sort of in some sort of brat singing group. But that's just my opinion. You guys do what you want to do. I just feel like I wish we all looked individually and not the same, because individuality is attractive. There is only one you. Let that shine. Let that be the thing that makes everybody notice you. Not the fact that you look just like the girl over there, who looked like the girl over there, who looked like the girl over there. Look like you. Be you. God only made one of you. Let what he put in you shine. Let what he gave you shine. Enhance that. Because, Lord, it's too much. It's too much. Sippers, this will probably be your last Sip Something Sunday with just me. I have some guests lined up, and I am working on getting their schedules together so that I can have some hosts that I can talk about, because I know some amazing people. And I'm excited to, as the youngsters say, or do they still say chop it up? I don't know, but to chop it up with them, find the things that motivate them, the things that move them, and see what projects they have coming next. And I think that's it for us. This was quick, but I wanted you all to know that we're still here. So I want to leave you with one thought. Intent matters, but your impact matters more. So while you're thinking about your impact, you should pull up, pour up, and elevate. I'll see you next Sunday. We're out.